lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is a real side of freight. What do I mean by that? I mean, I only feature transportation professionals on my content, you guys. Whether it's my twice a week long form podcast or my daily live show here, I only bring transportation professionals on here so we can put the right information out there that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. You know, frankly, at the end of the day, you guys, I want to put value out there for you guys because, you know, we need to put best practices out there at scale. We need to breathe some reality into a lot of the headlines and stuff that you're seeing out there, you guys, because like, even though some shit is wrong or it might not be trending in the direction you want, it doesn't mean you give up. It doesn't mean that you stop, because I've seen this market before. A lot of my guests who come on this show, they've seen this market before too, you guys. So it's like, again, we just got to find solutions, and that's what we're here to do. It's also one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. I do have a guest coming on here. He's been on the show before. We're going to talk about produce, you know, because like, is there a produce season? Is produce even moving, or did everything just fall apart and there's no more vegetables or fruits growing anywhere? I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic. And my friend Cody's going to be here to breathe some light into that situation. But before I do that, as always, you guys are going to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part, you get paid to move these trailers, right? Like, you're not just doing this for free. You get paid to move these, and then you can load these out as well. So that's double revenue that you can get. And for my owner ops and small fleets, you never have to shut your operation down now because your trailer's in the shop. So what they're working on, they got a bunch of trailers over in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to get up into Mississauga, Ontario, and you get 1,000 Canadian to do that. So what can you do with all of these? You can find individual loads, or you can position this with your shippers as a drop trailer opportunity now, because these don't just have to pick up in Paragould. You can bring them over to Louisville, Nashville, Cincinnati, whatever that looks like. They just have to end up over in Columbus. And now also there's a bunch of trailers out in Ron Burgundy's hometown, San Diego, California. So they got San Diego going out to Chicago. You get $600 US to do that. They have San Diego going out to Houston, Texas. You get $800 US to do that. They also have San Diego going into New Braunfels, Texas. You get 1,000 US to do that. And then they also have San Diego going to Opelousas, Louisiana. And I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Opelousas, Louisiana. And you get 1,900 to do that, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos and Stacy Steen, they will be in the audience. Just do me a favor and let me know that the Freight Coach sent you. Okay, Canadian Zach, it's Miss Asaga. Yeah, my bad, dude. My bad. All right, I'm gonna bring Cody on. Cody, what is up? Good to see you, man.
What's up, buddy? Good morning,
dude. Good morning. It is a good morning. It's just a bang 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 kind of day today, right, man. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of opportunity out there, no matter what anybody says.
Absolutely. There's always a bull market somewhere, right, buddy?
Yeah, right. Now this is an interesting hat you're wearing right now. What is that?
Right.
What?
Actually, I got this from my friend, Mr. Chris Jolly, the Freight Coach himself.
Freight Coach himself. Yeah,
some great swag you got going on, buddy.
Dude, shit's expensive, right? Like, I'm gonna call it what it is, but it's so worth it, man. Branded bills out of Mesa, Arizona. Here, it's so worth it. Don't skimp on swag. Like, that's because like I've tried that before, and dude, it just turned out terrible, and the stuff faded right away. Like, man, all the branded bill stuff that I've gotten, man, it just tested time. Like one of the hats that, dude, I wear it to the gym every single day, and it never got a sweat line on it. Now, some of you could say, oh, you're not working out hard enough. That's not fucking true. I am. And it's legit. It's quality stuff, man. There's no way. I'm not paid by branded bills to say this, but I'm being like, you got to put quality stuff out there and got to give shout outs like that, man. They got quality stuff.
Yeah, big time. Last thing you want to do is give some swag out to a customer or something, and it fades in 3 months.
Yeah, right. Or they just like look at it and they're like, oh, okay, cool, cool story.
Right?
Oh man, I'm gonna give some shout outs here quick. Whitney Young, happy Friday, watching over on YouTube. Zach Williams, happy Friday to you as well. And my bad pronunciation of Miss Saga, I'll get it. Zach's with SPI Logistics, you guys. If you guys want to become a freight agent, hit him up. Tony, good morning, sir. Valdivinos, I think I pronounced that last name right. Good morning to you. Stephen Peterson, happy Friday. Let's fucking go. Tracy St. Clair, watching over on YouTube like she does every day. I love it. Rajan, what is up, my man? Happy Friday. Wes, morning to you, sir. Fabian, good morning. Let's fucking go. Hoping that Sacramento can go. Yeah, Sacramento should beat the Warriors. Javier Hernandez, my man. What's up, dude? Good to see you. And then Jeremy Chacon, happy Pizza Friday, guys. Dude, I love that. I love that. Dude, I could go for some pizza right now. It's coming your way, Zach. You don't worry about that, sir. You know I got you. Dude, so let's talk about this, man. What's going on in the produce world? So for those of you who don't know you, who've been on the show, like who are you with in all that?
Sure. So I'm with ANZ Trucking. We're actually here local in Phoenix. We're also in Raleigh, North Carolina. But we specialize in food and bev with a hypersensitive or hyper focus on produce. So the majority of what we move is produce. So we try and stay in tune with the market. It's gonna be a weird year. I mean, it's been a weird, past year in produce, but this is definitely a super slow start in California. So excited to kind of go through some of the, the pros and cons of everything right now and where the market's hot and where it's not.
Yeah. So dude, let's talk about this because produce season is like a big thing every single year for the most part. The last couple of years, everything was a big thing because people needed to get it out. But in a standard freight market, which all things are pointing to, that's where we are right now. Produce season is kind of like the kickoff of the seasonality of freight that comes throughout there. So when you're like, what are some main driving factors on why produce season starts late, why the volumes aren't where they are? What are some main driving factors that cause that?
So weather's been the big one this year. All that flooding that we saw in Salinas, and then all the snow that they've had in Central and Southern California. We're actually worried a little bit now that because it's warming up this week in California, that all that snow is going to melt really quick, and we may be, in for another round of flooding, especially like the Fresno area. I keep hearing some chatter about. The weather's been the biggest part the last 2 years because last year, Salinas, it was definitely a down year as well because of the drought. Not enough water last year, and then this year we've got too much water. So, they typically start planting January, February, getting the seedlings in the ground. And because of the weather this year, they weren't able to. And what they did plant, a lot of it got washed away, got ruined. So what we're hearing out there, at least, so typical transition for everybody who doesn't know produce is going to transition your leafy greens, your lettuce, your romaines, all your salads and shit like that. They're going to transition between Yuma and Salinas, California, right? So Yuma, Arizona. Yuma is where it's all grown in the fall and in the winter, and then during the spring, summer, and a little bit of the fall, it's grown in Salinas. So typically you're going to see that in March. It's kind of starts in March and then it goes full bore in May or April. We're about 2 weeks behind this year, maybe 3 weeks. And what we are hearing right now is that yields are a little low. And then for what they are able to harvest, yields are pretty low. I know that strawberries up in Castroville and Watsonville, which is the same area up there in Salinas Valley, they got absolutely devastated with the flooding. I think that there was a levee or something that broke up there. So because of that, we are anticipating a huge hit to the strawberry crop this year. Some are saying as bad as 75%.
Oh, wow.
Got destroyed up there in California. So I know a lot of berries are still coming out of Florida and Texas right now, crossing the border, which is probably, if you guys are shopping at, Costco or wherever you're at, they're probably all coming out of there. So we are definitely anticipating a slower produce season out of California this year.
Okay.
Not to say that it's not going, obviously, but it's they're having a hard time harvesting like they would this time of year right now.
How frequent is this, right? Because again, I'm asking this from I know the answer to this, but I know there's people out there who are going to listen to this that this is the first they're experiencing this out there. How often does this happen, man? How is this every couple of years? I know weather operates in cycles like this, but like, how often does this happen? And then like, what do growers do to prepare for this?
Yeah, I mean, the weather's so unpredictable, right? Because like, within a 1 year time span, we went from not enough water to too much water, right? Completely different.
Yeah. Right.
The hope is that with the snowpack and all the water that they've had this year, that's going to set us up for a good year next year, including Yuma season. So Yuma season starts in late October, first part of November-ish, when they switch back. So we're hoping that, it's going to set us up for a good year next year, but we just don't know. I mean, I'm hearing that California might cool down again next week. So, I don't know about the flooding, blah, 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 and all this stuff. So it's so unpredictable. But there's always produce moving though. So like right now it's really hot in Florida. So yeah. I tell every one of my carriers, you guys want to go to Florida, go to Florida. You're probably going to get the best rates for backhauls right now out of Florida. Nogales is starting to pop off because watermelons are starting out of there. That's a very short-lived season. It's about like 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. Runs out in June. So typically what happens though is like California starts and you see a big uptick in rates and tenders until about the 4th of July, and if you guys follow Dean and Ken over there, Dean always brings up, on his charts for DAT that from March to July, you can almost see like a steady increase every single week, right? Rate wise, tender wise, volume wise, all that fun stuff. We haven't quite seen it yet though. So it is slow out there. We're not seeing the rates where they probably should be. We're not seeing the volume where it should be. Things could change here shortly, but it looks like that first harvest is going to be, not what we were hoping.
Yeah. Zach's got a good question here. So what do you do in this situation, man? Like you guys, obviously you guys do a lot of food. So like, you're not just produce and stuff like that, but for those individuals, like, man, if you are a produce carrier or a produce broker for that, like, what's your plan B in this situation?
Plan B is you better start moving something that's not produce.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, that's all it is.
Yeah.
If you got reefers, there's always proteins moving. There's ice cream, there's dairy, all that fun stuff. But anybody who follows DAT or follows Freightways, I'm not sure if I can name drop all those guys, but you can see the tender rejections, right? So like this is not normal. This
is America Code. You can say whatever you want here.
Good. You can see the tender rejections out of Cali. This is just not normal. I think they're both sub, the two big areas, which is like LA, Ontario area, and then the Fresno, Salinas Valley. They're both sub 2%, which is weird, right?
No, for sure. But like, I think that this is why you guys, you need to listen to a guy like Cody, who's been around this a long time. Like, yeah, you can sit here and point at, it's not producing yields. Tenders are wherever they're at. But again, what do you do? Like, you can't, like, are you just supposed to like fucking throw your hands up and be like, oh, fuck, I'm done. Right? Like, no, you have to find a solution because frankly, at the end of the day, this is such a massive opportunity for you with those customers that are affected by this. That strawberry farmer that now is entire year is fucked essentially. This is where you can solidify relationships because most people run right now. Most people are like, oh, fuck it. They don't have any freight. Fuck those guys. I'm going to go do something else, which naturally I get it. You have to go find freight. You have to do that stuff. But this is where you can literally lock in to these growers, to these customers and be like, hey, I'm here for it. What do you need? Even if you need pricing, even if you need whatever, come to me in these moments. This is such a massive opportunity.
Huge. And we are anticipating, an increase in LTL just because of the lack of product out there, right? So if they can't fill a truckload, they still need to ship those 6 or 7 pallets, right?
Yep.
So, broaden your horizons. If you haven't ran LTL before, maybe you need to start looking at it. We utilize consolidation facilities. So we have one in Salinas, we have one in Yuma. So we can combine LTL, we can make full truckloads out of it. You got to get creative. And then you got to pay attention to the map. You got to look at where the hot spots are. If you normally run from California to the Midwest, for example, and it's just not popping right now, I would suggest you start moving your trucks to either Texas or Florida because you can get good backhauls out of there right now. Onions are starting out of New Mexico and Texas area in the next month, I believe. That's all shifting from the Pacific Northwest, so like the Oregon, Idaho, Washington area. Haven't heard much from the apple growers yet, but everybody who's been running produce forever knows that there's two main seasons for Pacific Northwest, which is cherry season, which starts hitting in June and July.
Yeah.
You guys definitely reposition your equipment up there and you can get some really good rates. And then obviously like October, November, right, when it's Christmas tree season. But haven't heard much from the apple growers, so that's usually a sign that it should be a pretty normal year. But it's looking a little dicey out of Cali to start for produce.
What are your thoughts? Because you're talking about because dude, there's record snowfall in so many areas. Like here in Arizona, no matter what you hear out there, all of our reserves are full, if not overflowing. Like there is a lot of chatter in the valley here this is going to be one of the best produce seasons out of Arizona this year and next year on record. Like, because they're not going to have those. We got to conserve. You can only grow so much stuff. Do you think that this is a unseasonal late produce season this year? Maybe like if we see things kind of calm down out of Cali, they're going to go extra hard on strawberries, like where there's going to be a Q4, I'll call it, for a lack of better terms, monsoon of freight, because there's going to be a bunch of produce shipping out of California. There's going to be the seasonal holiday freight moving out of California. In your experience, do you look at this as like that's an actual possibility later this year from the conversations you're having?
It is a lot of what's going to dictate that is price, though. We're also hearing that the price per case, especially like your leafy greens, are going to be at an all-time, record high this summer. So consumer demand is starting to wane too. We keep hearing that on everything, right? Everybody keeps using the big R word, recession. So, that's going to play a big role in it too. But I do think that the Yuma season is going to be set up for a very good season this next year, mostly because of that water. And the big thing that's going to dictate that is price, though. So if price, if we go in because, potentially the yields and the harvest out of California are going to be low all summer, your price per case is going to be high, right? Because they still got to make their money. So if that bleeds over into the Yuma season, we don't really know what's going to happen there. But yield wise, I think that we're setting ourselves up for a good couple of years, weather bearing any crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But Q4 is when I keep hearing a lot of the analysts saying that the freight market's going to get back to normal, stabilize, maybe start going back up. And it would be nice if we had a winter run on produce. It would be great. Yeah, it'd be great.
That's why guys like Cody and I live in Arizona, because we don't have a fucking winter. We have just summer and not summer down here, and it's pretty cool.
Either 120 or not, right?
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I just look at it like this, because like, again, remove the current situation, but we've seen the weather patterns happen before. And this is why I wanted to kind of like bring it in from a 101 level there. Cause like, dude, I've seen this, man, the natural disasters, these will all lead to opportunities is what I want people to really focus on. Unfortunately, when shit falls apart, there will be a time when they're like, all right, we got to replenish, right? Like we're not just as a country going to be like, all right, we're done eating strawberries this year. Like it's going to naturally shift from other areas. Imports, I would all but guess imports are going to exponentially increase when it comes to a lot of the produce that was affected coming out through the Central Valleys, because from a percentage of produce, maybe you can break it down from like the actual product itself, how much of our country by like essentially farm to table out in the country comes from the Central Valleys of California.
And leafy greens, I think the last statistic I saw was like 60% or something like that.
Damn.
So all of you Olive Garden fans out there, you might be getting soup instead of salad for a couple months. Just watch it. But we're hearing, I mean, lettuce is the big one. We're hearing that it could be an additional 40% cost per case by July than it was last year, and last year was a record high. Yeah. So, but you're right. Imports are we continue to see a little bit more uptick in imports every single week. I know Dean covers that as well. And it's going to be coming from somewhere. The crazy thing is the last 5 years, we have seen a trend where Texas is starting to grow a lot more produce than they ever have before, because they tend to not have as many water issues as California. And, the drought last year was like really, really bad, but it had been building up for years, right? It's not like it's not news to anybody that California was in a drought for, the last decade or whatever it was. So they have been starting to shift some of that. I've seen a lot of volume moving down to Texas. We're not thinking that's going to change. I talked with Kenny Lund, actually, from Allen Lund, when I was at TIA last week. And, he was kind of echoing the same thing. They move a ton of produce, right? And he was saying that he's really thinking that Texas is going to be the next Cali in the next 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's, we're still going to eat strawberries. We still need salads. We still need, all that fun stuff. It's going to be grown somewhere. There's a lot of talk on micro warehousing as well, especially in the Midwest. I know they do a lot of that over there. There's a couple items that they can't grow through micro warehousing. So you're kind of stuck, with the traditional methods. But I do think that they're going to have to start diversifying the growing fields like in the next 10, 20 years. So best advice I can give to any carriers out there would be just to make sure that you're positioning your equipment correctly. Keep an eye on those hot spots. Produce is so seasonal, right? And some of it, you have like little micro seasons that pop up too, like May. May is, you got two big flower holidays, right? You got Memorial Day and Mother's Day. Most people who know produce know that the majority of the roses all come through the Port of Miami. So if I was a carrier right now, I'd be going to Florida every single week for the next 6 weeks, and I'd be getting some really kick-ass back calls out of there. Texas is popping off right now, especially the McAllen, Laredo area because of the imports. So, and the Nogales area, it's not quite, it doesn't really spill too much over into Yuma, but that area will be hot until June. So definitely start repositioning your guys' equipment. I know it's rough out there. Yeah. So look for those hot spots.
And that's the thing, like with, historically speaking, with the produce season in Florida, it transitions up into Georgia and into the Carolinas, right? Like, so it will kind of follow the coast up there. So I think, Cody's right in that regard. If you got a reefer out there, that is going to be, position your trailers in that area. And then furthermore, nobody really talks about this, but this does affect dry van prices too, because all of that capacity that could move van or reefer, those motherfuckers aren't taking a dry load right now. If they got a reefer, they're so naturally speaking, you're going to start to see, in theory, you should start seeing an uptick in dry van pricing in produce areas because the capacity naturally drops because nobody's shipping that stuff if they have a reefer right now. They're only moving reefer freight. So if you have a dry van in the Carolinas, Texas, Florida, where the geographical areas Cody's are talking about right now, naturally you would expect an uptick in rates. I don't know how much. I can't sit here and say it's like to what level, but you're going to see some reprieve coming into those areas. It happens every single time.
Yep, every single time. I mean, that's a great point too, because a lot of people forget about that. We used to move a lot of liquids for Procter & Gamble, right? Yeah. And so a lot of people don't realize that has to have freeze protection during the winter because it's all moving out of the Midwest. And then during the summer, they switch everything to dry vans because they want to get more cube on it or more product on it, right? Because you can cube it out higher. So that naturally is going to drive up your dry van rates as well, because once they switch from reefer to dry van, all of a sudden your demand for dry van goes through the roof. So, that's a great point actually, Chris. I wasn't even thinking about that, but dry van rates typically when produce is going to pop off, you will see dry van rates. It's not an exact cent to cent correlation.
Correct.
But you typically will see it.
And same with other food product too here. Cause like, again, you got to think going into the summer months, naturally it's a lot hotter out there. There will be a shift to reefer only for temperature protect, weather protect food products that are out there. So again, like I just want to breathe some light out there for the individuals who, maybe you did jump into this industry in the last couple of years. You don't know what the fuck to expect over these next coming months. This is why this information from a guy like Cody is imperative for you to listen to, because he's very deep in the food game. He's very deep in the reefer game. I don't even fuck with reefer. I just go, Cody, here, or, Cody, what's this? Because like that's why you guys having a niche, again, is so imperative in a freight market like this, especially if you're a broker, because some of these produce guys right now, they don't want to hear from, I'll put myself out there, a fucking dumbass like me who's calling, hey, I could possibly move your shit if you have. They need to talk to a guy like Cody and ANZ, because like this is all they do. All this information that Cody just put out there, I'm guessing it's inside of their marketing deck when they're talking to shippers right now, because this is the sense of ease that customers need to hear in a time like this. You got to look at it from the business owner's perspective of the shipper. They literally lost God knows how much of their yearly revenue already. Every truckload is that much more important in a market like this, right? Because there's no maybes in this one. You have to deliver, right now. So like this is why you work with specialty people. This is why you specialize in stuff. This is where the real value in what you bring to the table comes out.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the report that Dean sent me last was pre-transition. We were already down year over year, like 13% on produce, and that was just because of demand, consumer demand. So you throw in what has just happened, and it's not shaping up to be a great year out of Cali. I haven't seen any updates on the ports. Have you?
No, eerily quiet. Actually,
so that's
out there.
They always play into it too,
Yeah, there's nothing negative to report, so why talk about it?
But they had a couple strikes or something, right? Like a couple weeks ago in California.
Their labor stuff is not resolved yet, at all. And I saw some guys on social media out east, and they're like, dude, there's just a backlog of chassis just sitting there. There's nothing coming in. So you never know, man. Zach, I feel like you're setting me up here, man, but because he's like, do you believe global warming is real? And if so, is it affecting farming? Do I think global warming is real? No, I think weather happens in patterns. And I would always say this, the people who are preaching global warming, why do they keep buying beachfront property if they see the sea levels are rising? I'm just fucking throwing it out there from that perspective. But I will say there are seasonal changes of weather. Temperatures rise, temperatures falls. I'm not like discrediting any of that. But I don't think it's as big as a lot of people want to say it is, because otherwise, if it was, why do they keep buying beachfront homes and flying on private jets if that's all affecting the environment? Just throw that out there. That's all I'll say to that, because this isn't a politics show. Cody, we got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left, man. What is your biggest piece of advice to anybody out there right now who's building their book of business or who's trying to stay afloat right now in their business, whether it be a trucking company or not? What should they be focused on?
Consume as much content as you can. So not just Chris's show, right?
I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing at Mark's comment. All global warming. I love it.
I have to agree with Mark on that, but just consume as much content as you can. Like there is definitely like hot pockets out there for brokers and for carriers. For brokers, never stop selling. Obviously, make sure that you're taking care of your customers. Your number one priority. Be there for them when they need you. So to Chris's point, they may not have volume for you right now, but they may in June, they may in July, they may in December, but be there, take care of those guys and broaden your horizons. Everybody broaden your horizons. You never ran LTL before, like I mentioned, maybe look into it. If you've never been to Texas, you always run a certain lane, maybe you should look into it. If you've never ran to Florida because you hear that outbound rates out of Florida for, 10 months out of the year are awful, which they are. Look at the data though, because you got a window right now to make some money out of there. So that's what I try and tell everybody is just move where the freight is. Until we get back to a normal environment, you got to move where the freight is, and you can't be closed-minded, right? You got to look for things you've never done before.
I just look at it like this. It is as simple as this to me, you guys. I control what you can control. I can't control the macro. When I see large companies out there reporting 20% drop in revenue and all that doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect my companies, right? At the end of the day, I have to focus on what I can control. I can read, I did go to public school here. But I can read. And I know that when there is record high revenues, naturally they're going to go down. So you can look into that for what it is. Things have changed, right? So at the end of the day, that doesn't affect me. What goes on at Cody's company doesn't affect me personally. Cody and I are friends. We'll strategize together. We'll throw that stuff out there. But I got to operate my business. Cody and I are friends, but he doesn't give a fuck what I'm like. He's got his shit to worry about too. So for me personally, control what you can control right now. All right, go out there. If your goal every day is to make 15 sales calls, make 15 fucking sales calls every single day and hold yourself to a standard. Because naturally what happens to the points of Cody, what Cody was talking about earlier, when markets change, when things change, you guys, people chase other directions. Well, what happens to those customers that are out there? There's an opportunity there, right? Solidify with your current book of business, become their top provider, control what you can control. All right. Control the information you're consuming. Not everything's bad out there. All right. Look at multiple data sources. Look at multiple different companies that are reporting these things and find information, because someone's going to win through this, you guys. All right. I'm going to win through this. I want all of you guys to win through this. You don't have to stop whatever that is. So keep that up. That's going to be it for today. Cody may be popping back in here from time to time because I like this produce little update coming in here, you know, because it's a side of the industry that I don't really fuck with. And I like hearing about this. And again, you guys, I only feature people who know what the fuck they're talking about to come on my stuff. And that's why I have Cody come on. So Cody, how can anybody find out more about you or your company?
AMZtrucking.com. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. You're always going to see me on Chris's stuff. So you can look me up. It's, Cody, it's Kaler. Everybody pronounces it Kohler, but it's spelled Kohler. Yeah. So hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm always on there. But our website, amztrucking.com, you can communicate directly with us if you're either a carrier or a potential customer, or you just honestly want to just talk,
Perfect. I love it. Well, that's it for today, guys. We'll be back on Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central to break down some more industry headlines. And as always, if you guys saw value in it, share the show. If you're watching over on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're watching over on iTunes or listening to it on iTunes and Spotify, that replay, if you hear value in it, subscribe, share the show, rank the show. If you didn't, don't. All right. I want you guys to do this because you see value in it. But that's it for today, you guys. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks, Jess.